Hi, so the purpose of this video is to show potential employers how systematic I can be and show friends who I am. So to accomplish those, I shall go through how I plan a trip and my day-to-day routines and how I manage my social connections and Netflix. So for the trip, right? So I have a long list, as you can see, to plan my trip. Yeah. The reason why I show trip is because many people plan trips, so it's something that you can relate to, and you can compare how usually people do it and how I do it. So I will list down the objectives, the benefits that I want to get from the trip. It's not just to go to a country, right? So sometimes you want to experience a certain culture, see a particular place, or a list of food that you want to accomplish. So it's always good to list down objectives. So listing objectives is something that I usually do. And among my friends, I will do this RACI matrix, which is the responsible, accountable, and so on matrix. And then I will always list the risks as well as assumptions, pertaining to the trip. And I'll use Google My Maps to plot out the trips spatially and then see if I can draw a route around it. And I'll use ChatGPT. And the way I ask ChatGPT is also systemized. And this is an example of a spreadsheet that I use when I plan trips, objective, location, cost to travel, and whether this place is closed when we want to go there. So when I book flights, right, I also have a system. The way I filter them, I also make sure I document the way I filter them using the URL. So the parameters that I passed in are always predictable, because I know what parameters I passed in exactly. For the hotel booking, same goes. The parameters that I pass in, I'll make sure that it's documented and in control. And then, of course, the criteria for the hotels, all these things are documented always. And other parts of planning the trip, travel insurance, make sure this part of checklist. Make sure I notify banks and also systemize how the documents that are important are stored in phone storage, not cloud. All these are like part of risk management. And then I also make sure testing of U-Trip is done before I actually go on a trip. Yep. So I also systemize the downloading of Netflix videos and movies before a trip. All these things are part of the checklist. And clearing of routine items, preparing old phone as camera, and make sure clothes are needed, wash and dry, and so on. Also, when it comes to planning a trip, of course, I list down all the things I need to pack, and this is a live list. So that means every time I go on a trip, I update this list or remove things that are no longer relevant, and also have a checklist on how to buy and sell currency. Yeah, and also I also have mappings of how to wear winter wear and which layer. So it's like make sure nothing get missed out. And outfield items means things that you bring up every time you go out of the hotel. So all these things have their own checklist as well. And before I go on a trip, I will go to Google Street View to actually familiarize with the street view, the buildings before I go on a trip. Also systemize the standing order for the trip. And post trip, so photos and videos, that is also a step-by-step way of making to know which photos and videos I want to upload, and among those whether I want to edit, and once I post to social media, whether all these videos will be used for profile pictures and so on. Yeah, so moving on from trip, now I shall show my day-to-day routines. So as you can see, this is very similar to the sprint backlog as well as product backlog. So I have checklists, just like everybody else has checklists, more or less. But the key here is that things that are relevant to immediate goals, important goals, urgent are prioritized. So the act of prioritizing is something that I don't think everybody does. Yeah, I just want to point that out. And then monthly, the way I do housework is also has a certain system to it. Like as you can see, even months, odd months, we do different things, and things that are outsourced to my tenants, are also documented. Yes, and okay, so this is for backing up my phone, and then I will also make sure what chat apps I back up is systemized, and as well as when I upload photos and videos to cloud is also according to a certain step-by-step manner. Okay, so this is a list of safety measures that I remind myself every month. Things like if you're overseas and you encounter a robbery, don't make sudden movements, don't pass your phone over to strangers, and logging in and logging out of apps, avoid public Wi-Fi, never reviewing on social media. So all these things are routinized, as a personal risk management strategy. And then this is backing up of computer files. Just now it was phone, this is computer, so everything has a step-by-step documentation to it. Just want to show that. And also, I also have a system of conducting personal SWOT analysis according to goals-based SWOT analysis. Some people do that. And my SWOT analysis also involves like looking at the intersections between, like, say, my strengths and opportunities, how I can leverage my strengths to grasp certain opportunities. So it's also like a part of my planning. So I do regular SWOT analysis. So I also have systemized my pre-work briefing. So things that I learn over the course of my work, over PMP, I also make sure there's a systematic way to remind myself every month. Yeah, so all those tips pertaining to work. I also have checklists. This is not checklists, more of a reminder list of random things that I think is worthy of being reminding yourself, like every endeavor, you make sure you know the risk, the assumption, the stakeholders involved, as well as uh, tips like avoiding relative statistics. Always ask for absolute statistics to make proper decisions, random things like that. Yeah. So of course, just like most people, I monitor my finances every month. So I go down a very documented way of monitoring my finances, and even for my hobbies, right? Let's say inline skating or say bowling or archery. I also have documented steps. Um, yes, and when I go out of my house, right, the items I bring, I also have a way to make sure I don't miss things out. I don't like forget things at home or leave things in a public place and forget, because every item has the alphabet to it. Like say A is for phone, B is for card, C is for wallet, and so on. And just like just the previous list, right? Every activity that I do, I also have a list. So like for example, gymming or going to the pool or the beach or archery, right? I do not need to think what to bring every time, because everything is documented. So this is also an example of a personal system, like a checklist to bring stuff. So this one is more for work, like when I close a sprint, right? And I start a new sprint, for development work. I also make sure that step by step documented and listed down, just like many things that I do. Of course, gym, exercise, gymming, strength training, all your sets and reps are worthy of documentations, and I'm sure a lot of people do that. Let's go to the yearly routines that I do. Okay, so one thing that's quite interesting is that every year I look at my age, right, and I ask myself, like, at this age, what do I not want in my life? What is the life scenario that I do not want at that age? And who, what, where, when that I want at that age. So this helps you plan your life. I think it's quite interesting. And at certain months, I also make sure I reply chats. So this is a systematic reminder to make sure I routinely reply people, so I don't miss out on replying people. I list out all the chat apps and I reply people using a certain date margin. Yeah, and the games, sometimes you learn a certain game and then you forget it. I also make sure there's a systematic routine way to make sure to be familiar with games and not forget them. Yeah, to refresh your memory. Yes, and of course, housework, curtains, how I wash curtains, the settings are documented, and this whole routine itself, right? I also systemize how I trim it to make sure it is lean, to make sure things that are necessary are removed. Yeah, and I also have a routine way to have a drill to act as though my phone is lost, to make sure my phone is really lost. I'm familiar with how to find it and recover it. So this routine as well, routinely changing of password and replying chats, just like just now. A few months I do once, and then the standing orders and routine recurring transfers is also documented. So how much I transfer, and the notes and the remarks are documented as well. Okay, so that I'm done with the day-to-day routine. So this is something else that I do. When I bought my house, right, I also have a separate documentation for it, just like how I have separate documentation for major projects that I undertake, major personal decisions, and so on. So look at the house purchase, for example, right? I list down problem statements, imagine use cases of the house, and what I do not want, and I have again charts, around the house, and certain interesting other methods which I won't go into detail about buying house. And okay, so this is for how I manage my social connections, social network. I have an app for it. I built this app, and for example, which connection is aligned to which objective, right, is also charted out using my app, like which friends can give you medical advice or financial advice, which friends make you happy, which are the 5 people that I make that they say you are the average of 5 people around you. So who are these 5 people, and all these things. So as well as any particular group of friends, right? Like where do I tend to know them from? There's also analysis. Yeah. So like for example, if most of the friends that make me happy when I'm around them are known from school, then I know I should go school more often or something like that. Last but not least is Netflix. Uh, that last but not least that I want to show, because there are many other systems, but Netflix I think is quite interesting because many people watch Netflix. But I also download the watch item from Netflix and upload to another app that I built so that I can remember the movies and series that I like, and I can analyze the directors that I tend to enjoy. Yep. So that's all. I shall end with this quote: "You do not rise to the level of your goals; you fall to the level of the systems." By James Clear. Thanks for your attention. Thank you.